it all of a sudden it just grabs attention because it is a classic namesake. I mean, they could have just brought back the Probe nameplate, right?
Decreasing the chances that you would have bought one.
Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show on cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, digital executive producer for Fox 61. With me are Glenn Packman from Fairfield County, an improv comedian and car enthusiast. Also, we have Jeff Buchholz from WBBM in Chicago, writer and editor there, and also a car enthusiast. So, guys, I love Mustangs. I always have. I have, just these cars are like always some of my favorites. I may have mentioned this that my father won a Mustang in 1966, and just always been something that's special to me. One of the interesting things that I found out recently was that the Mustang Mach E is now outselling the regular internal combustion engine Mustang. I find this fascinating. I think that just after the Mustang 2, the Mach E gets a lot of derision from people about it being a Mustang. It's not really a Mustang, but it's selling a lot. Looking at the numbers that the Mach E has outsold the internal combustion engine version of the car. I mean, the ICE version sold 44,003 units, marking the lowest annual sales in the model's 60-year history. The Mach E last year sold 51,745, which is a 27% increase from the previous year. And it's the first time that obviously the ICE version undersold the EV version. 2023, the Mach E sold 6,000 fewer, about 46,000 to 40,000. But the new numbers this year, the Mach E is higher. And I just find that interesting to see how this vehicle has, I think that it's a success for Ford. It looks like it's a success for Ford. And I was wondering what you guys thought about it. Jeff, what are you thinking?
I think that it is a testament to a few things. First of all, it was the first full EV from a legacy American car maker that could promise an even slightly Tesla-like experience. With the added cachet of wearing a name that is, as you point out, a sort of shorthand for America. Like the Mustang isn't just a car, and we've talked about this in this podcast. It is a worldwide style icon. Mm-hmm. In any country in the world, you say Mustang, people know what you're talking about. And the argument about the Mach E not being a real Mustang is garbage because the Ford Motor Company literally invented the Mustang. It may call the Mustang whatever it likes. And particularly if they apply that name to a car that is as good at being an EV and a regular car as the Mustang Mach E is. It is versatile, it is roomy, it is incredibly sporty, it's quite fast, even without the GT package, which you can get on it. There is a rally version now that's crazy. It is also a testament to the success of the previous administration's effort to get people into electric vehicles. I would argue that absent the very generous tax credits for purchase of EVs, that the internal combustion Mustang would probably be selling a little better than the Mach E. And my guess is that when we see the 2025 numbers, that will have reversed itself. But the Mach E is, because of those tax credits, a far more compelling purchase alternative. It also doesn't hurt, by the way, that Ford, at least for a little while there in 2024, and may still be doing this, was throwing in a free level 2 charger with purchase of an electric vehicle, which
Mhm.
makes the hurdle to ownership a whole lot shorter and lower for people who are sort of on the fence about the idea. The Mach E is successful because it is a good car and because it's a good EV and because it has the kind of style and elan associated with the Mustang, which has been an aspirational car now for 60 some odd years. In fact, exactly 60 years, right?
Yes, last year.
1964, April 17th, 1964. I'm embarrassed I know that actual date.
Yeah, I do too. So
I know you do, yeah. It's a really it's a good car. It is. Here's how good a car the Mach E is. My husband, who before he met me, if you were to ask him to describe his car, he would say it's a red one.
yes.
Wants a Mach E. In fact,
Yeah.
I bought him a 1/64th, a Matchbox Mach E, and it's sitting in the game room in our house. That's how good a car it is, and it is really solid. It's really, really good. Ford's put the time in on it. They've improved a lot of the interfaces. They've improved the finishes. It's good. And in the right color, I would argue the right color is anything bright. That grabber orange is fantastic, by the way.
Mhm.
It although eruption green is also really good this year. Um, it looks terrific. It looks sensational.
I love it in the red. I just love
The
that car
red's
in the
great.
red.
Red's terrific.
Yeah. And the interesting part of the interesting of the design is that the black trim along the bottom and the black trim along the roof does a lot to decrease the visual mass of the car.
That's why in
And
black it isn't as successful in black.
right, right. And it's, and I'm fine with it being called a Mustang. You know, it's fine. But I don't know if it would sell this numbers if it
No.
was,
No,
Freestar or
it wouldn't have made news out of the box if they just decided to call it the Ford Mach E with the same styling cues and the same everything else. It would not have gotten nearly the attention that
Mhm.
it got from the rip, honestly. The fact
Mhm.
it was so canny of Ford to say, we're just going to put the Mustang name on it. And it was, I mean, it was a stroke of marketing brilliance, and we've talked before about how really good Ford is at this.
Right,
Um,
right.
it is, and it completely sort of changed the idea of what a Mustang could be. It opened up the prospect of Mustang ownership to a group of people, a younger, more affluent group of people that would never in their wildest dreams considered buying a muscle car because they have kids, because they go to Costco, because muscle cars are for older people. But they've expanded the brand in a way that is so smart and so forward thinking. I don't know that it would be nearly as successful had they put some other name on it, honestly.
Would agree. Yeah. Glenn, what are you thinking about the where the Mach-E is today as opposed to a couple of years ago where came out?
Just what Jeff said. That's it. No, I'm kidding.
Good night.
Honestly, good night. No, I really, very well put, and I completely agree with everything you said. I do have a question. For 2025, did they actually black out the grill on the car? Because I'm looking at it currently.
If it's still the same, the GT has the blackout and the regular standard trim has the body colored. I
Okay.
think that's still the same.
I think that's right.
It's a little bit of minutia, but I love that. One of my gripes, and just being old and poopy about electric cars, is I kind of miss the classic look of having a grill.
Yeah.
Why I've never warmed up to the front end of the Tesla products is because it's just smooth and rounded off. And some people love that. I just don't. It's a me thing, but I love that, even though I know it's not a grill, but I love the classic look that puts forth. But yeah, this is a cool car. My husband doesn't like electric vehicles, generally speaking, and most times when I point one out, I'm like, "How about that?" And what I get is, "No." We passed one of these, and he said, "Ooh, I would drive that." And he was like, "What is that?" And I said, "It's a Mustang." And he was like, "Wait, what? You know? And I said, in name, it's a Mustang. And I explained to him why Ford did this very wisely. But you're right in that it all of a sudden it just grabs attention because it is a classic namesake. I mean, they could have just brought back the probe nameplate, right?
Decreasing the chances that you would have bought one.
Right. Everyone would, because it just, not to,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think the argument of, oh, it's not a real Mustang. I mean, they said the same thing about the Mustang too. And the bottom line with that car is that, yeah, if you trucked it out enough, it could be a pretty good car. You know, it wasn't nearly as terrible as people said.
Also,
They were just,
most Mustangs that were sold in the beginning, in the first generation in the 60s, weren't like fire-breathing GTs either. They were
Exactly.
all the secretary cars with the
Right.
six-cylinder engines and
Right.
automatics. Like they
Right.
were,
Like the
they were,
200 cubic inch
yeah,
six-cylinder,
yeah, they were
yeah,
Falcons.
easy.
They were
Yeah.
Falcons. They
right,
weren't
with nicer bodywork, right?
right. They weren't high performance cars. They weren't great handling cars. They looked good.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, the Mustang 2, I would argue the Mustang 2 filled the brief, the original brief, as well
Mhm.
as the original Mustang, as well as the Fox body Mustang did, as derived from the Fairmont. I mean, it is only in this sort of recent history that the Mustang has been its own platform anyway.
Right. Right. Precisely.
And I
And
think also, go ahead, Glenn.
well, to that end, I think well, good on them for attracting attention to a car that deserves some attention to be attracted to it. It is. I haven't driven one. Doug, you have, right? Have you?
The Mach E, yeah.
Yeah. I'm dying to do so, but just recommendations on my good friend. Just loved driving the car, and whenever I see one on the road, it looks like a successful car to me. That's what it breathes. You can just
Here-
tell, you know.
Here's what it was. It was exactly what you want a car to be. You could see out of it. It didn't drive anything different, dramatically different from 20 other cars. I drove it, bear in mind, I drove it for 20 minutes on the highway and back and took some pictures of it, and that was it. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't spend a lot of time with it, but it felt like a car that wasn't going to be weird. You could get in, you could turn there was a knob that said PRNDL, you switch it, boom, you go. It had all the pieces that you'd want in a car, right? It had a speedometer in front of you. Well, it just wasn't weird. And
Yeah.
and that, like you said, Jeff, that fits the brief, right?
Mhm.
It big hatch area, whatever. What I find is interesting, and we'll see where this goes on both the internal combustion engine version and the electric version, is you have that rally version of the Mach E with the white wheels, the white rally type wheels, the different colors, a
Mhm.
little bit higher up, I think it sits, and it just gives, okay, here's another thing we can do, right? We're going to put on these clothes on it, right? There's also word that there will be a Raptor version of the regular standard Mustang. Okay. So,
Why not?
yeah, sure.
Sure, why not?
Big V8 engine, rear wheel drive. Let's have at it.
I mean,
Uh,
when Porsche brought out the
the-
Dakar
right,
911,
exactly.
it's a
Yeah,
freaking sensation.
right.
I mean, they probably didn't sell 1,000 of them, but they just look cool as heck. Why
Right.
not? Sure, let's
Yeah.
just do it. Yeah, throw a bunch of lights on the roof, throw some orange at it, maybe power the front wheels, maybe don't, doesn't matter. Sure. Why not? It'll give Chevy fits because they'll never do that to a Corvette.
Well, I have heard that they might have an SUV version of the Corvette.
Yes,
Oh,
which
right.
which is I think it's harder for them to do that than
Yes.
it
Yeah, oh,
is for
yeah.
Ford to do that with the
Absolutely.
Mustang,
Yeah.
especially now that the Corvette is positioned as an alternative to Ferrari and Lamborghini, as in the sort of supercar area. I think that makes SUV harder for them. And It also threatens to cannibalize Cadillac a little bit,
Right.
which it wants very much to make more money on Escalades. And also it's just going to feel like, the HHR and the PT Cruiser all over again. It's going to feel like GM copying one of Ford's better ideas,
Right.
to borrow a 70s ad tag from Ford. Like I said, they're really good at this. They've always
Uh,
been really good at this.
right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
They put
sidebar.
the light bulb in the O. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Just as a sidebar, I went to the Ford website, and yeah, eruption green is a gorgeous color. Wow.
It's good. It's
I
good.
saw.
My mother just got a Bronco Sport interruption green, and
Oh,
I couldn't have
really?
been more pleased.
I bet. I didn't even know they made it in green, but that's a really cool shade.
It's a new it was a new color last year. There
Yeah.
was the Mach E was available with this like performance package, like a gold package, which got very Bandit Trans Am edition looking wheels and some gold accents on the grille, and it was kind of a GT basically. But Eruption Green was the color on that one, and then the color has filtered down to the rest of the lineup.
Yeah.
I like it. I do like the red too. There's as a sidebar, but
The red's a
already got
winner.
my red car. It's so if I got a green car in the garage, then it would be like Christmas. So
It is the most wonderful time of the year, or at least I remember it being. I
Yeah.
think the thing that is going to be the challenge for Ford is the next generation of Mach E. It is clearly successful enough to warrant a second generation. And
Yeah.
I think Ford has said that it's always going to build a Mustang. Like that, that's the Halo car. It is literally the only car they make now. And they see it very much as being the Halo car in the same way that Corvette is the Chevrolet Halo car. So they'll always have one. And the Mach E has earned a second generation. The question, of course, is what do they do for an Encore? What advances will have been made in battery architecture and storage? The Mach E's range isn't bad. I don't think it's uncompetitive, but at some point it might be. And that may be where a lot of the innovation will be. And then, of course, the challenge will be how do we make it continue to look like a Mustang while looking like an advance from
Mhm.
this version.
And
The marketplace may be okay with that. I mean, we've talked about this on this podcast before. I certainly have. That I mean, every Tesla on the market pretty much looks the same as the first Tesla. Like they all have the same form factor. They've reworked the nose on the Model 3 like 3 times, I think, but it's pretty much the same car, and people are still buying it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much kind of heritage detail they can put into the Mach E to still have that family resemblance while also still looking contemporary and attractive and still doing the things that it needs that car to do.
I think they've had some hits and misses in terms of the internal combustion car over the past 61 years. Where some of them, no, why don't you give that another try in about 4 years?
I never liked the SN95. I never liked that. It was the one between the Fox body and the
Right.
the
The too
S197.
roundy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
liked that one. Yeah, it was too
Yeah.
lumpy for me.
Right. The 2005 though, man.
yeah,
That S197 is perfect.
Yeah. Oh wow. All right. Anything else on Mustangs that we want to talk about?
We are all, I think, pro Mustang on this podcast,
Yes.
for sure.
just one last little thing. Vapor Blue Metallic, also a very good color for this car.
A good name for a color too, by the way.
Yeah. Not quite Chrysler level of color names, but
Yes.
That's right. Furious
well,
Yellow, Go Man Go.
yeah, if you got us hang on something, Chrysler, we have great paint names.
Mhm.
All right, gentlemen, that'll do it for another week. Remember, you can find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe. There's a Car Opinionated playlist, and we will see you next time.